Hey again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another episode in our ongoing New Figure Showcase series, where we take a quick look at a newer release that I'm adding into the collection. And today we're diving back into military releases with DID's FA-18E pilot, Captain Pete Mitchell. So, obviously, this is Maverick from Top Gun Maverick, but because they are a military figure company, they were a little slick about it, right? About how they went about giving us this character. Even going as far as to blur out the call sign that's on the helmet, on the box. But there's clearly no mistaking who this is supposed to be. For me, it's a great opportunity to have a 6-scale version of a really iconic character. We've seen a number of other Maverick releases over the past couple of months, and to me, when this one came out, this one honestly felt like the best one that had been previewed. This one, along with the VTS Toys test pilot, which is the version from the movie's opening scene during the Dark Star test run, which I also ordered. But easily, this is the one that I saw and felt most impressed by. And DID has a pedigree in the military collecting community, so I knew I was going to get probably something solid. And look, let's talk Top Gun Maverick really quickly. Easily a movie that could have just tanked, that could have fallen into that category of unnecessary sequels to great movies that we loved. So I did approach it with a little trepidation, but of course, Tom Cruise and the director Joseph Kosinski did an amazing job and really gave us a stunning sequel that more than holds its own and might even eclipse the original at times, which is no small feat, right, given how popular that movie is. So very happy to have this in hand. And let's see if DID delivered. So let's start by taking a look at everything we're getting in the package. And the first thing you'll notice is that the box cover can actually be removed and used as a backdrop, showcasing a parked F-18 on the carrier deck, which looks pretty good. And of course, we do get his equipment, which includes his helmet with clear visor, the helmet bag, survival harness and vest, some flight gloves, G-suit, the oxygen mask, flashlight, radio, sunglasses, watch, utility knife, a bunch of accessories. So a decent set overall. And I do have to give credit to DID for publishing some videos on how to put the gear on, which I'm definitely going to make use of as a reference, and I'll throw the link in at the end of the video for anybody who wants to see those. But as usual, let's take a closer look at the accessories, and we'll start with the hands. So the figure itself already comes with the older style bendy hands installed. They're okay, but I always struggled a little with getting those to display in a great way. But fortunately, DID threw in a few extra fully sculpted hands, and they do look good. Skin tone and paint apps are solid, although the way that they tried to create the nail isn't the best, and you can see some mold lines where it almost looks like they glued some of the bent fingers on. It's not bad at all, though. You really have to kind of look closely at these to see those imperfections, so not something that's going to be totally noticeable. In addition, you do get those flight gloves, which look awesome with a nice dual color pattern, but I don't like that you have to place those on those bendy hands because, like I said, it's always been a struggle for me, but nice to have them in place. Next up, you get the components of his flight gear, and he does come with his jumpsuit already on, so these are just the added elements. So you get, I believe it's the life preserver that comes in the nice light gray with all these labels on it that are just amazingly detailed, even for items you're never really going to see. And I do like that the straps to connect down to the vest have buttons on them and clips so you can really secure them on. Next up, you get his vest, and you can't really see here, but once you unzip it, it includes a built-in harness that has to go around the figure's legs, arms, and waist before you even zip it up again. It looks good and it's nicely done, but it's more complex than it seems at first. And then obviously you get the G-suit that has to get placed around the figure's waist and legs with fully functional zippers, and a few pouches to connect to the vest. So overall, not a lot of components, but there is some work required to fully assemble. Next, you get the headgear, which really is impressive here. And the highlight has to be, that immediately caught my eye, has to be the flight helmet. Lots of great detail on it, and most importantly, it has that distinctive Maverick color scheme with the white and red lines and the eagle kind of flying down on the sides, and the call sign on the front and back that says Maverick. You also get the visor here that has little buttons to connect to the helmet, and while maybe not accurate to real life, it was accurate to the movie. You also get his aviator sunglasses, which look great, and then the oxygen and communications face mask, which again is so highly detailed and well done with all sorts of connectors and just hooks that connect to the helmet. And you also get the helmet bag, which is a nice touch, but not sure it's going to be something that I want to use to hide the helmet in. Next, on the smaller size, you get a handful of accessories, most of which you won't really see again, and those include his wristwatch, pretty decent piece with a nicely done face. You get a flashlight that connects to his vest and does pivot on a joint to get the actual light pointing in different directions. You get a radio with lots of detail and text written on it, and you get a Swiss Army knife that actually works and lets you pull pull out a knife or a hook piece. So lots of great details for really small pieces. And final pieces you're getting are actually the patches for the jumpsuit, including the captain rank insignia for his shoulders, the Top Gun unit patch that goes on one arm, and the US flag for the other. Now I'm guessing these were sent separately for some reason or another, but they're pretty straightforward to use. You just have to remove the tape, the backing from the sticky backs, and just paste them directly onto the suit. Patches all look great, and there's lots of detailing here that continues to impress. So now let's turn to the sculpt, and first impressions, it's actually not bad. I mean, I think it's pretty clear who it's supposed to be, and you even have some of Tom Cruise's distinctive features, so I do think DID did an awesome job with the likeness. It's not perfect, but it's fairly solid. Paint apps are also impressive, with lots of detail helping to really make the figure feel realistic. The eyes are okay, not as good as, say, Hot Toys, for example, but still pretty good. And the rest of the sculpt just has amazing detail work, extending throughout the hair, the ears, and even the detail on the slight wrinkling throughout. So I think, again, seeing it in hand, it's pretty solid. Now the rest of the figure is pretty basic. Body feels highly posable and fairly solid and sturdy. Figure comes out of the box with a plain white t-shirt on and the jumpsuit already also installed. The jumpsuit is that distinctive olive green color with the Top Gun instructor tag on the chest. That looks good. It is a little baggy, but I think that's pretty realistic. But it's just a solid piece with nice tailoring throughout. So I think DID continued their good efforts here. So much so that you could actually just display the figure like this without the gear on. Now, I will say one thing about the boots. These are high military boots that for the most part are decent, but I do think they look a little almost oversized, particularly on the top portion of the foot. But still looks really good. Just one thing that I noticed immediately. So before putting on the gear, I did want to pose him up in just a flight suit. And I forgot to mention that, or I did mention that the box is a nice backdrop, or it gives you a nice backdrop that actually looks really solid here, and with a lot of the displays. So if you have the real estate, it's really nice to use. And look, again, just in the jumpsuit, the figure has presence. And that's even before I put on the multiple patches. And the one thing you'll also notice, the sunglasses look awesome on the figure. And with them on, I think the likeness to Maverick is 100% there. And it's just a funny trend lately with these figures, where once you put on the glasses, the likeness just locks in or improves pretty dramatically. So I think it's a good indicator that most of the time, the issue with the sculpt tends to be around the eyes. But it really looks good. Just a very simple, classy look without the gear on. But of course, part of the appeal of the figure is the possibility of getting him in that screen-accurate flight gear look. And what can I say other than he looks even more impressive once he's fully kit up. Putting the gear on wasn't too bad either, which is a big plus. I think the biggest headache was the vest because of all the straps and loops you have to navigate, and also putting the pouches onto the vest. So if you do get this figure, tweezers will be your friend. While not as frustrating as some of the more heavy kit military figures I've gotten in the past, there were a few moments of anger and frustration here trying to get those in place. But overall, looks great. Helmet fits nicely on the sculpt. Visor does too. There's just so much detail here that it's easy to miss, but looking closely, you can start noticing a lot of things, and it's just really awesome. And the helmet itself is really functional. So like I mentioned earlier, you can get the visor button onto some connectors on the rear, and that slides down nicely over the eyes. And the oxygen and comm mask include those silver tabs that slide into the helmet side receivers, giving you the option to display him with the full mask on. Just a lot of credit to DID for the work they did here, because it looks stunning. And it's just so much, again, detail work on these accessories that are ridiculously small, and that makes it even more impressive. But they killed it. My only issue is really, do I want to hide the sculpt, which is actually pretty decent with the helmet. And again, like I said, you have that option to display him with the glasses where he just looks like Maverick. So overall thoughts on this one: if you're a fan of military figures, this is a great opportunity to pick up a modern F-18 pilot just in general. The gear and the uniform all just truly look top-notch. Now, if you're a Top Gun Maverick fan and want Maverick on your shelf, this is equally awesome. And of the slew of different Mavericks we've gotten announced recently, I do firmly believe this one was one of the best prototypes shown, and the final production piece is pretty close to what we saw. So it is a gorgeous figure. For me, it's Maverick, and I'm extremely happy to have him in hand. And again, it's just a phenomenal looking figure. Look, at this point, we're almost a quarter of the way through 2024, and from a figure perspective, it's feeling like an amazing year. This is a great figure, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with him in hand if you do get him. So, look, that was just a quick look at DID's Captain Pete Mitchell Maverick, inspired by the character's appearance in Top Gun Maverick. Let me know your thoughts on this one, and as always, thanks for watching with me, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider dropping a like, comment, or subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.